My dad practically gave me up to his sister from the moment I was born. My mom died when she was giving birth to me. And my aunt told me he never recovered from that because he blamed me for her dying. It hurt a lot as a kid that at family events he would ignore my existence. When I was a little older, he got more vocal about me killing her, and he can't stand to look at my face. You can imagine the amount of therapy that put me in. I used to go to church crying because I was scared about going to hell for doing that to my mom. That's how much his words me up. But the shitty part was that I never stopped trying to be accepted by him. After my high school graduation, he told me to never bother him again since he legally has no obligation to me anymore, since he was sending my aunt money to take care of me. Around that time is when I finally started accepting that reality, so from there we moved on with our lives. My aunt doesn't talk to me about him. Sometimes my grandparents do, and that's how I found out he got married. They were mad he didn't invite me to their wedding, but to me it didn't matter because we're not close. But it was his wife who wanted to meet me. It's the first time ever that he wants to make contact, and it was to pretty much say she wants me on their life. She doesn't know the real reason about why we're estranged. He asked me to please not say anything, and maybe this could be a way to reconcile after all. But he was only doing it for her. That much was clear when we talked. I never said I would be. He still insisted on us meeting at their place because she really wanted to meet me. All she thinks is we were estranged for not getting along in my teenager years, going to college and losing touch because of life stuff. It pissed me off that he played it off as us just not talking for petty reasons. Meanwhile, the actually reason damaged me for years. I told her the truth. Everything he said to me. That he was never a parent to me, that was all my aunt. It was definitely a shock for her. The outcome was a disaster. Everyone has heard about this now. My grandmas in particular told me she understands my anger. But this was his chance finding someone since losing my mom, and now it's been put in jeopardy. My dad is devastated. They think it was going too far to ruin his marriage that way when he was willing to include me in their lives, which could have been the start of our relationship. And they say not only did I ruin that, but also possibly wrecked his marriage. She just doesn't agree at all with what he did, and it could have been avoided if I didn't say anything. For me, it was hard not to tell the truth after the lies made it seem like it was nothing serious. I couldn't ignore what happened after what it did. If it was the right call, since it put their whole marriage at risk after all. I gave birth to my daughter weeks ago. My experience was pretty traumatic, and since it was my first, I had no clue what to expect. When I went into labor, I had the most difficult time of my life. I was in pain for hours. My mom was with me, but she had to go, and my husband was with me the entire time. I did something so embarrassing in the delivery room. I pooped myself, which was unexpected and just, I don't know, but it was embarrassing, and although my medical team were very professional about it, my husband couldn't help himself and started laughing about it later and even telling my family about it, but they didn't react. Just didn't find it funny, and neither did I. In fact, I found it embarrassing, and I already told him to stop bringing it up, especially when he started joking about getting me diapers for my opsies. It got really tiring and chipped away from my self-esteem and confidence. We were with his parents celebrating New Year's Eve together when I excused myself to the bathroom. While I was getting up, he made a quick remark and said, "Oh, yeah, you should go quickly because we don't want any accidents just like the one we had at the hospital. You know what I mean?" While blinking at me. His family actually laughed, and brother-in-law commented, "Good one." I was astonished and so angry and ashamed. I literally just lost it on him and yelled at the top of my lungs, calling him a cruel and sensitive jerk. To be using the difficult experience of birthing his child as a joking matter and humiliating me in front of everybody. He was shocked, staring back at me and not saying a word. All went silent, and I just stormed off to the bathroom till we left, and that was when he snapped, saying I messed up by talking to him like that in front of his family during dinner. I said I couldn't hold my tongue for that long, and after he kept joking about an embarrassing thing when I told him to stop. He said he was just joking, and I went overboard with my reaction, and also, I should have sucked it up and waited till we got home so we could address this privately, and I could even yell at him as long as I wanted. We argued about it after we got home, and he kept saying I humiliated him in front of his family during the celebratory evening. by being petty and trying to one-up him. He even said I should have laughed along, not fly off the handle licks that. I am a 39 years old male, and I lost my son in 2019 due to a chronic heart condition. He was 15 years old. It was devastating and I just couldn't take it, especially when my family did little to nothing to support me during these difficult times. They didn't bring my son meals when he was at the hospital. They didn't let me go home and rest even for a few hours. They didn't take care of other things while I had a lot to deal with. I wasn't offered any help, just words. They'd just talk but do nothing. Despite the struggle, I've created an account for my son's college fund and kept putting whatever I could get at the time, and my son would talk about that a lot. He was depressed but always believed that he was going to get better and continue his education and attend college. I started saving money to keep him motivated and to make him feel like he could be like any other kid with hopes for a good future. He had a very close friend that's about the same age as him. They were friends for 5 years, and I can't express how his presence in my son's life helped him through the worst days. Sometimes his friend would spend the night with us and try to get my son to do activities and lighten up his mood all the time. To be frank, his friend was closer to him than his own family. He never stopped visiting and asking how I'm doing after my son's death. He'd show me handmade projects he made for my son and as a way to remember him, and we'd sometimes just sit and talk together or cry together. Last week, while I was with my family, my sister asked me what I was going to do with my son's college money. I didn't want to mention this, but since she asked, I told her that I will be giving the money to my son's friend. She barely even recognized his friend and was confused and said that my nephew deserves this money since he's family. My mom agreed that I wasn't thinking straight and that I should help the people close to me, family, and that my nephew has a right to go to college, and I was wrong for giving this opportunity away to someone else. I didn't know what to say. They kept pointing out that I was making a mistake and how my nephew will resent me if he finds out. Thing is, my nephew wasn't close to my son. I don't even know why he'd be bothered. My sister went on about not being able to afford my nephew's college. I told her this was my decision, and I felt more comfortable that way. She started lashing out, constantly texting me, constantly wanting to talk to me, and ending up arguing. When I snapped, she had my mom calling me, basically guilt-tripping me and telling me I'm wrong and that I needed to think about this. It's just too much pressure and I'm feeling lost and unable to figure out how to deal with this. My daughter is 14. The divorce between me and her mom is still an open wound, but we try our best to make everything feel as normal as possible with the split. I remarried to my wife Isla. My daughter isn't mean, but she does not view her as a mom, which I am is okay. As long as she's respectful, which she is. They do plenty together, they go out, took an interest in cooking together, watching shows together, etc. I've told Isla to be patient with my daughter. If something is wrong, I'd expect her to come to me and I will talk with my daughter and make sure we resolve the issue. But as far as the harsh parts of parenting, that's up to me. So the other day, my daughter came to me saying she wanted to go to her mother's. I asked why she did because she looked upset. She said to ask my wife. I called her mom and she said she'd pick her up but hasn't heard any issues from my daughter. My daughter's birthday is coming up. We are doing a quiz for her. She's very excited. So Isla went to my daughter, saying that she wanted to have a quiz just with us, meaning without her mother or her family. When my daughter said she wanted her mom there, especially because of how big of a deal this is. And Isla was pretty much trying to force the issue and telling her that she can do one here and just as big. My daughter asked why she's trying to leave her mom out of such an important event. And Isla got mad at her for that and accused her of being bratty, and if she wants her mom so bad she should go there. I was so confused. What argument even is that? First of all, there's a reason she went behind my back and told my daughter. Second of all, she's not my kid's mother. And the more she tried to replace her, the more my daughter will resent her. Third of all, she's never welcome to insult my daughter because of her issues, and I don't know where and why she thought this would fly. I told her this, and her argument was that she wanted to be noticed by my daughter and why I care so little about her feelings. I told her my daughter notices her. They go out in girls' days weekly, they go out, watch movies together, etc. My daughter has been plenty inviting to her. Frankly, I'm surprised at how well she's opened up to her, but now she will have to earn her trust back. She again asked why I keep taking my daughter's side and not meeting her in the middle. I told her she's wrong here, simple as that. I could have if she didn't do it like this. I told her that if she expects me to turn on my daughter, she's out of her mind, and my daughter comes first in any situation. She started crying and accused me and saying she's in second place, to which I confirmed. I would never want her to put me over a kid. She left and now isn't speaking to me. V asked my daughter if this behavior was consistent. She said that she feels like Isla makes it a point to not talk about her mom, but nothing this extreme.